Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. And at this time, I will call the Paulding County Board of Commissioners January 8th, 2019 meeting to order. And knowledge, we don't have any elected officials this afternoon. Anybody correct me? Glad to have all y'all, whether you're elected or not. I'd ask all of you to turn off any mobile devices, and Brian, if you bring the list, please. Sir. This afternoon, before the East Paulding High School JROTC brings the colors in and raises the colors for us, I'm going to ask Miss Nancy Hollingshead, who's the chairman of the Republican Party of Paulding County, to bring us our prayer. Master Sergeant Green, thank you all for being here today. Just wait.
Thank you all for being here. I usually start my prayer out with a bit of scripture, so I think this is pretty fitting. Commit your work to the Lord, and your thoughts will be established. Proverbs 16:3. Father, we just come before your throne and asking you for guidance and leadership with these gentlemen. We ask for clear thinking. And Miss Sandy, please forgive me, Miss Sandy. We ask for your guidance and clear thinking and take the blinders off their eyes, Father, that they can hear your Holy Spirit as you talk to them as they go forward to do the business of this county. We all love this county. We all want to see this county prosper. And so I asked you, Father, to bless them and to let these men go forth and move our county forward. So it is in your precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Forward, march. Left turn, march. Color guard, halt. Present colors. Sir, the East Paulding High School Junior ROTC request permission to post the colors. Sir.
Post the colors, please. You look very sharp.
Thank you. Sir. Order. Colors. Post. Post. Present. Arms. Please join me in reciting our nation's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. Arms. Post. Forward. March. Forward. March.
Dave, what post are they in? Well done, post one school.
Under minutes, action to adopt the December 18th, 2018 work session minutes and the December 18th, 2018 board meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hart. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Under announcements, there are none. Under invited guests, there are none. Under bid awards, none. Reports from committees and departments, none. Consent agenda items, let me back up. Under public participation in agenda items, we'll start with Miss Nancy Hollingshead to speak on a new attorney.
I just first want to say, I want to thank you guys. I'm so proud of you guys and being up here, and I'll support you 100%. I'm real proud of Commissioner Hart and Commissioner Collette for working very strongly together to build fences, which is what we need in this county to unify it again. So I'm very proud of that. And one thing that I do know for sure this morning, that Chairman Commissioner Carmichael said that is so true, is that Ron Stover does have the biggest heart around. So I do know those things. So on saying that, I just want to come up here and talk about the replacement of Lonnie as the interim. I guess that she was the interim, but the attorney, and going back to Tally Richardson Cable. First of all, as far as replacing Lonnie, Lonnie knows this was not the first time Lonnie was the attorney for the county. During Commissioner Sharon's term, she replaced Glenn Richardson at that time when he became Speaker of the House. And she was replaced at that point in time also for political reasons, and I understand that. I've been in politics forever, so I understand all that. And that's okay. That's what y'all need to do. But my problem is, let's going back to Tally Richardson Cable. They are the attorneys for the school board. They'll be the attorneys for you guys, the city of Hiram, the IBA, and the airport authority. There is such a big conflict of interest there. If the school board, say the school board wants to sue you, who are they going to be loyal to, you guys or the school board? I know outside this county people look at that and they say, well, who's the most important people? Who do I need to go talk to if I need to go to Paulding County? They're not going to say, well, go talk to the commissioners. They're going to say, go talk to Tally Richardson Cable. They are the most powerful people in this county. So we can't allow that. I urge you guys to, if you don't want Lonnie, please bid it out. I know right now you're saying, well, we have to have an attorney. And here's my suggestion. The former Lieutenant Governor of the state of Georgia said, nobody in this state understands county and state government better than Glenn Richardson. Glenn Richardson is not a part of Cable Richardson, well, Tally Cable and Richardson, or whatever. But he is what they call on council. I mean, he's there, but he's not part of the team. So here's my suggestion, is that you appoint Glenn Richardson as your interim while you guys shop it out. Because I personally believe we need to shop this out, get the best people. We do not need to continue. You guys have told me you want to move our county forward. By putting Tally Richardson Cable in, you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. We don't want to go backwards. We want to go forward. We want to unify, and we just don't need all this conflict. And we don't need people outside who wants to come to our county, to move to our county, to look at this and think that only a few people in this county run the whole county. That almost puts back a boss hog kind of mentality, and we don't want that. We want to be known as an ethical government out here that moves forward. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
And also we have Ms. Kathy Helms on new business number 1, which is also the attorney.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year. And Frank, you did an awesome job this morning introducing, but I don't think we made a big enough deal about the first female that has ever been elected to this county board is sitting up there. All right? Sandy, thank you. That's big. And backing up, I'm going to disagree with something that Nancy said. I've been involved in politics a long time. I moved here from Chicago, which was very political. I am asking you, as a board, to not base decisions and votes on politics, but what's best for this county. It should never be about personal or friends or favors or politics. It should be about what is best to move this county forward. And that's all I'm going to ask you. I have a lot of faith. I've known Brian since he was 10 or 11 years old. I've gotten to know Chuck, great guy. I have a lot of confidence in you. And just please remember to vote for your conscience based on what's best for our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you both for your participation. Under the consent agenda item, action on 2 consent agenda items. I read them this morning, so I'll just entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to act on 2 consent agenda items from this morning.
We have a motion from Commissioner Stover to approve these 2 consent agenda items. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Caker. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Under old business, we have none. Under new business is number 1 is action to appoint Tally Richardson and Cable, PA, as the county attorney and to authorize the chairman to enter into a contract for such purposes. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to deny.
We have a motion to deny by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second? I have no second, so the motion is canceled for lack of a second. So I'll entertain another motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Commissioner Hart's made a motion to go along with the wording in new business number 1. Action to appoint Tally Richardson Cable, PA, as the county attorney and authorize the chairman to enter into a contract for such purposes. And we have a motion from Commissioner Hart. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion?
Did you have anything you wanted to say? I've got some stuff I want to say, but if you want to go ahead, that's fine.
I would like to say a couple of things. I'll start off, the law firm of Bentley and the law firm that Joe Fowler's in, and also attorney Glenn Richardson. Those parties have been spoken to at length, and those contacts were made. And in fact, we anticipate the the probability of being able to reach out and contract, as we do right now with Mr. Richardson as the tax assessor representative. But we've got cases in progress right now and coming up, and if Tally Richardson Cable is affirmed, then I think they're amenable to reaching out to the law firms that they know over and above these. But these are ones that we have personally contacted.
Okay, well, everybody's looking at me, so I guess that means it's my turn. I want to first talk about Lonnie Skipper and what's happening here with her today. It's unfortunate, Dave, what happened this morning in the meeting where you're going to refuse to come out here and terminate her. The 3 of you need to know that when I've been talking to Dave about the county attorney position, he has told me over and over that the 3 incoming commissioners want her gone. The 3 incoming commissioners want her gone, and that's how he said it. And I was in a meeting in December with Dave and Lonnie and Frank, and he kept saying that. And then I think it was last Friday, I was in a meeting with Dave, and he kept saying the 3 commissioners want her, three incoming commissioners want her gone. And I said, so when they vote to fire her, are you going to vote against them? And he said, no. And I said, so you want her gone too? And it wasn't until I pressed you to the wall that you agreed that you were part of that as well. I mean, we don't have an attorney here to tell us any different than what Jason told us today about interim and how that works. I still disagree, but I'm obviously outnumbered on that point. But you guys are running out, not just a wonderful person, but a wonderful attorney. She's got a sharp legal mind. She's got 20 plus years of institutional knowledge and experience with the county. I mean, her career has been around this county and service to it. She does exactly what we ask her to do. She's good, and she does it just like we ask. Now, with a new board, a new direction on the board, she could potentially be asked to do something other than what she was asked to do when your predecessors were here. But she does what she's asked to do. She works at a rate that's less than half of what it should be. And then when we go to court with her, she wins in court. I mean, that's literally every single thing you could ask for in an attorney. You can't ask for anything more than that. She's in the middle of handling some cases now that we need consistency in our representation on. We don't need to change attorneys on these cases. And to do that, it's going to be time consuming and costly. And I'll get to the money piece of this in a minute. But to do that, it's going to be time consuming and costly. And it's going to not be to our benefit in court on those cases that she's handling. This is I hate seeing this happen because this is nothing but a political move, and it has nothing to do with the work she's done. Also, you're coming in here on first meeting with the new board, and you're sending someone out the door without cause. And don't think for a minute that our county employees aren't watching this. They understand what's happening. We've worked hard, and Dave nominated Frank for the county administrator position, and I think Frank's done a fabulous job of working to help build morale around the county with our employees. This doesn't help that. He and Brian and Scott, working with all of our department heads, Paulding County is a better place to work than it used to be. And we've worked hard to achieve that. You're taking a hit to morale here that we don't need to take, we shouldn't take. And so sending Lonnie packing like you're doing is wrong. You've got no experience with her. I mean, Chuck, you and Brian were in executive session in December. You were in the executive session, and that, to my knowledge, that's the only experience you have with Lonnie. Sandy was unfortunately able to be there, and we understand that. But, you know, I would think give her some time if she doesn't do the job as she should, because regardless of who she supported, and regardless of what her personal views on an issue might be, she's an attorney who's going to do what she's told to by her client, because that's her job, is to do what the three or more of the people on this board tell her to do. So, you know, you could give her time. You don't have to vote on this today. You don't have to accept this nomination. We can reject this nomination and give her a chance to prove herself to you. I mean, as far as I know, you guys barely know her. Now, I'll admit I'm partial, because in the 2.5 years plus that I've been here, Lonnie has proven herself to me to be loyal and dependable, and an amazing attorney. I can't speak highly enough of her. She's everything, literally everything you could ask for in an attorney. So we don't have to approve this nomination today. We don't have to vote on a new attorney today. We can turn this down. The other thing I want to talk about is bidding this out. Dave had an idea, at least I think it was your idea, Dave. It was a good one, so I'll give you credit for it. It was in September, I believe it was, maybe late August. So he sent an email that said, well, it came through Angela, but it was from Dave. It said, we're going to be sending out for a request for qualifications, and we want to get input from attorneys in the area on the best way to go with the legal services for the county. And I don't remember everybody that was on the board, but I know Vernon and I supported you with that, because county's growing. Sandy said today, I don't remember the year, it was 2049, 74% growth. That's a lot of people, y'all. That's a lot of people. And so it's going to make sense at some point for the county to have an in-house legal team and not contract this out to a firm. It may be that in the interim between now and then, it makes sense to have a different approach altogether. And so Dave's suggestion, what he was going to do in September, was to send out a letter and ask for proposals and ask people how to do this. We can get from other counties and find out at what point, as far as caseload or population, did you go to an in-house attorney, or how is this working for you? You know, we've taken a step back on a couple of departments that we have that were already departments, and we've reworked those departments, and Frank has been a big part of that. And we have better departments because we took the time to go through it that way. And so I think that when you say we're going to bid it out, it says let's do that. It was only more recently that I've been told that we're not going to bid it out. We're going to pitch that idea and we'll toss it, and we're just going to go back to Tally Richardson Cable. We should at the very, you know, if you don't want to keep Lonnie, I obviously don't have the votes to force that. But if you want to change legal counsel, we owe it to ourselves as a board and to the citizens of the county to bid it out. We can get proposals. There's no harm in doing that. The only objection to that I've heard is Dave saying that it was going to take 80 hours of work to do, and it wasn't. He didn't feel that was something that he should do. I disagree on that. It's worth bidding it out. Now, it may come through that the bid process that Tally Richardson Cable puts forth a package, makes an offer, goes through it, and it looks like it's the best decision to make. If that's the case, the board can make that decision then. But there are other attorneys in the county, there are other attorneys nearby that may have an interest in representing the county. One of the citizens mentioned, I think it was Ms. Hollingshed, but it might have been Kathy, I don't remember, but one of them mentioned the number of entities inside the county that this firm already represents. It can cause an issue. As you guys know, we've had to do conflict counsel on at least one occasion because of the firm representing two parties that were involved in lawsuits. And so it can be an issue. It's worth bidding out. I'll just ask you guys, is there any willingness to finding a way here that we can bid this out, start a bid process and open it up for bids and get some proposals and have a committee look at it like we had talked about doing in the fall? Is there any willingness from anyone here to do that? Okay. Well, it doesn't sound like there is. So, I want to talk about Tally Richardson Cable Law Firm. And I want to be clear that I know Jason Phillips is the attorney that would be here and spending the majority of the time with us here, and I know him to be a good attorney, and I have no personal issue with Jason Phillips. But I want to go back, if I can, and cover a couple things, because I think it's important that the people understand, the people of the county need to understand. You guys understand what you're doing. I'm not sure that the entire county understands what's happening here. Tally Richardson Cable was the attorney for the county for a long time, and they were terminated because of actions that they took that they should not have taken. And so I've got a list of facts because I want to be careful to speak factually. So there's some facts that I want to make sure that everybody understands. So there's an intergovernmental agreement regarding operation of the airport between the Airport Authority and the Board of Commissioners. And that intergovernmental agreement requires the transfer of 163 acres at the airport from the county to the Airport Authority. And we've heard a lot about the 163 acres. The FAA has to approve land transfers when airports are involved. And because of the dispute, and because the two co-sponsors, us and the Airport Authority, were not on the same page with what was going on for the effort to commercialize, the FAA instructed us not to transfer the 163 acres. Now, the board at that time, and this was 2016, was following after I was in office, so it would have been between March and December, was following direction of the FAA and was not supportive of transferring that land. The law firm, Tally Richardson Cable, was then, as we just talked about, the attorney for both the county and the Airport Authority. And because of that, as I mentioned, we both had to get conflict counsel. Now, David Austin, who was the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, in his last days of office, went to the TRC offices, and he signed over that 163 acres to the airport authority. Now, here's where I know that the folks at TRC have a different view of this, but I'm going to share with you how it was seen by the board at the time. There's a rule in the Georgia State Bar Handbook, Rule 4.2, and it talks about communication in a case with persons known to have representation. So what happened was, at the office representing the airport authority, TRC gave documents to someone involved in a case that was not represented by them, that they knew was represented by someone else. That's a very basic, one of the first rules with the state board, with the state bar. It's known well by all attorneys. It's so serious that a maximum penalty for the violation of that rule is disbarment. Now, that's not necessarily where the state bar goes first. It's not that it would be an immediate thing, but that's what it can lead to. It's a serious thing. And neither the Board of Commissioners nor Smith Connerly, who was our conflict counsel, gave permission or consent for that communication to take place. It happened behind our backs. In fact, we didn't learn about it until David Austin was deposed, I believe it was in February the following year. So that had been signed over. We had been betrayed as a board, as a client, and we didn't even know it. And because of that action, the county incurred further legal fees because we had to go, you guys were following it, I'm sure. FAA got involved and had us try to work out a joint corrective action plan, and that's where that joint corrective action plan came from. So we've got all of these things that happened. And betrayal's the word that comes to my mind. And if you've got a firm, our budget for general fund legal fees is about $400,000 a year. And if you've got a firm that will betray a client that gives them that much business, if they did it once, I believe they'll do it again. We can't afford that. We can't afford to give this responsibility to a firm that has behaved like that. So I have to stand very strongly opposed to the nomination here. This is the wrong thing to do. You guys need to not let your first action as commissioners be an act of political. You need it's retaliation, and you need to not do this. I do have some comments about the contract. I guess I can move to. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of desire for conversation on this decision you guys are about to make. So I do want to get into the contract. The letter from Mr. Cable to Chairman Carmichael with this contract for proposed legal services is dated January 2nd, which would have been a week ago tomorrow. I was handed this on my way out the door after the work session today, so I've had a little time to read it, but I did have a couple of comments that if you guys are going to insist on moving forward with all of this, that you need to give consideration to. The first one is, do you guys have a copy of the contract with you? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this would be section B, labeled term, paragraph 2. It gives us the right to terminate the contract upon not less than 6 months written notice. Also gives the attorney the permission to terminate the contract upon not less than 6 months written notice. We need to get that reduced, eliminated preferably. My concern here is when we were betrayed the first time, we were able to terminate the relationship immediately. This contract will require us to keep them 6 months from when we're ready to not have them anymore. Even if it's not the same type of an issue that happened the first time, if there is a change in political will on the board, 6 months notice is well in advance of any election that would happen, and this is binding a potential future board in a way that shouldn't be bound. So I'd like to see if we can discuss removing the 6 months notice clause in the paragraph. Additionally, during the second thing I have here, during the 6 month period, once they've been given notice, says that we will pay them no less than $25,000 per month. So we could have the option to give them notice and start doing legal work with a different firm, but we would then have to pay, it would total $150,000 to have them do nothing for 6 months. If that would be I guess essentially a buyout. So that we need to discuss potentially how that would work. And then the other issue I have is under section C, paragraph 1, the hourly rates of $175 for attorney time and $85 for paralegal or administrative time. The current rates for our legal fees is $130 for attorney and $55 for paralegal. And this is a 35% and a 55% increase for those services. Dave told me on, when did you tell me, Dave? I think it was Friday, that this is considered the school board rate, which is, I'm not saying that this isn't a reduced rate. I know that $175 for Jason's time is certainly a reduced rate. Dave told me this was the school board rate, and that's great, but we will bill a whole lot more hours than the school board will bill. And so I think that there should be some, maybe some further consideration given there. Those are the issues that I have with the contract. The final thing that is my concern as you guys are looking at forcing this issue is money. The $175, as I said, is a 35% increase over the $130. The current fiscal year has just under, I checked these numbers I think they were as of yesterday. Current fiscal year has $232,935 remaining in general fund legal expense as far as unspent budgeted for the fiscal year. So if we budgeted what we expected to be 100%, which is how we do it, 35% increase requires an extra $81,527. So if you're going to hire a new attorney and you're going to pay a new attorney $175 an hour, a 35% increase, you have to come up with $81,527 somewhere in the current budget for the rest of this fiscal year to offset the additional charges, the additional funds that are going to be spent on an attorney. And I don't know if we have a proposal for that or not, but I would suggest that we need to have that budget amendment ready to be voted upon before we make this decision.
You have anything else?
You can go ahead. That's it for now. I may have a comment if you have some discussion you'd like to bring up.
Well, I'll just open it up for discussion with the post commissioners. Defer to you if you have any comments. No.
Nothing at all? I mean, we're running out of 20-year.
Yeah.
You got something? Okay.
Well, first of all, I'm not real crazy about the speculation of how you think we present to the department heads. You know, with all due respect, you know, we did come in here and, you know, there were people that believed in something that we believed in.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what we're going to try to implement. Part of the implementation of this is to take care of some legal problems that we have. You and I discussed it briefly, and I'm not going to get this strung out in front of this whole board. But there are things we need to clean up, and if we're not doing something one way and it's not working, we have to do it a different way. And that's just what may have to happen here. With all due respect, I love Nancy and I love Kathy, and I appreciate your input, and I'll always reach out for your input. But with that being said, there's just some things that I'd much rather see a 30-year standard, proven person. I would trust that over what we've had in the past that we've had, created us more legal issues. I mean, can you understand that, Ron?
Okay. Well, first, I think maybe I didn't come across right when I was talking about perception by the employees. I wasn't saying that. I think maybe I didn't say it right. When you have new management at the executive level, and that's what we have here. And when the first act of business is to get rid of someone who's been with the county for 20 years for no reason other than we feel it's time for change, that's perceived as you coming in and pushing people out without reason. And that's what I was trying to say. I know that you're here because people believed in you to get you here, and I wasn't trying to say that at all. My concern is that you have employees, whether they be department heads or people elsewhere in the organization, who see, oh, that board came in and they ran out Lonnie and she's been around forever, and there was it's not that she was defiant or did a poor job or did something that cost us or committed some act like had happened with TRC when they were terminated the first time. It was, it's just to be done by a new board. That's what I was saying doesn't look good. The other part of it is that you say you need change so that we can get things done. The change to get things done happened when you guys got elected. That's the change you guys needed. Now, we can disagree on some of the issues, and we will, I'm sure. But if three of you want to make a change, three of you can make a change. You don't need a new attorney to do that. If the majority of this board directs an attorney to do something, they'll do it. Lonnie's an amazing professional attorney, and if she was directed by the board to do something, she may advise against it. Legal counsel needs to do that because we don't always think like a lawyer and think of every scenario like a good attorney will. So she may advise against something, but if at the end of the day the board says, no, this is how we want to move forward, that's what will happen. You don't need a new attorney to make things change. The change happened at the ballot box when you guys got elected.
Please.
Well, it's like you said. It serves at our pleasure. You had a situation back when you said that the 163-acre thing went in, and like I said, we don't need to peel that onion all the way back. But what you're saying is that she did what she was told, and that's the results. Were not what we needed. But they did what they were told back then also.
Who? What do you mean?
TRC. Back in the
TRC was, we did not tell TRC to do that. That's the problem. And that's the whole issue. The board was not willing to sign over that 163 acres because we
some of this starts
not
to be opinionated, though.
No, there's a letter from the FAA that says don't do it. Don't transfer this over. The FAA said we and the airport authority had to be in agreement and that they had to approve the transfer of the land.
It said the first part of that, not the second.
So,
Have to be in agreement, right?
So the board was unwilling to transfer that land. Also, there was the issue with the Atlanta suit, and I won't get into the possibilities of the Atlanta suit, but
Okay. We're really not here to argue and dig up old.
okay, I get that, Dave, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, believe it or not. I'm not trying to be argumentative. It's important that we understand what happened when this firm was terminated the first time. And that isn't...
That can be talked about in private conversations, could have been talked about since the July election.
But it's being voted on here. We can talk about it in the back room, and we have, and we've done that. But the thing is, I can't agree to go talk about this in the back room because this is where it's going to happen, and that firm's going to get put back in place. They were fired for cause, and now they're being handed the job back without any bid process, without any effort to find any better way of doing it, without taking any thought into consideration for the growth of the county, for any of that, what might be the best way to handle our legal situation going forward, and now they're being handed the job back. They helped flip the board, and they're being handed the job back. That's what's happening here. So we can talk about it in the back room, but the truth is that right here is where it happens. And I have an obligation to the people of this county to make it known that that's what's happening here. We were betrayed by a firm. They flipped the board and helped flip the board, and now they're being given their job back. At the very least, you guys ought to put this out for bids.
Ron, I don't mean to step in, but,
Please do.
we're grown men and women here, and we have great discussion, many more, I'm sure. Me and you had a discussion the other day, and you know why I voted, why I feel the way I do.
I do.
And I'd rather not say that. But I feel that. I have a great relationship personally with them. They do a great job.
You're speaking of TRC?
Yes.
Okay.
There's nothing against them in my book. And like I said, me and you had that discussion, what happened a few years ago that made me turn my head against
I understand.
up
And
that way.
I
So,
appreciate the candidness
you know,
of that discussion we had, and that was good.
and I don't mind having a discussion, but you can ask my wife and kids back there. I don't fuss at them when we talk, and I don't like to be fussed at either. When I talk to my employees, I treat them with respect. Even when I have to fire people, and I understand. And talking about morality, morale and stuff like that around the county, I understand. I hate to hurt morale. But sometimes you got to make tough decisions. And when you're in business and when you're in the position that we're in, we have to make tough decisions. This is not the first one we're going to make. So please, out of respect for the board, have conversation all day long, but I feel like, raising your voice and doing what you're doing is not the way to handle
Sorry,
this.
I feel very passionate about this, and I wasn't intending to talk at you, and I apologize if that's the way that came across. I do feel very strongly about this, as I'm sure you can tell, and I do appreciate we had a couple of good conversations about this over the weekend, and I do appreciate you taking the time for that.
Well, like I said, Ron, I ain't got nothing against you. I really
Ditto.
don't, so I guess I should have told you before we come in here. Sorry.
Well, I believe that's the way to handle things. I think everybody in this room wants to get over this kind of stuff, wants to heal. The reason we need to talk about it in the next room over is because there are too many inaccurate things that are stated. There's too many things that are being stated as correct that are just not correct. And I've asked you, and we'll do this. Ron, myself, and Tom Cable need to sit in a. This is the way I think you resolve issues: is you look people in the eye, you talk with them. If you want to bring up all those things, I think you'll find that about half of them that you said are incorrect.
Okay.
Incorrect.
I think you're wrong, because that's
and
all.
that's-
I mean,
and
I
that's
know
your
you were on the
privilege
board
to-
at that time, Dave, but that's what happened. So I do, in fairness, I do know the firm has a different opinion of those events. I do understand that, and
Well, that's important.
that can be apparently is going to need to be just an issue of disagreement.
Well, let's go have that conversation, three-way conversation, because I think it needs to be had. I've got a lot of other notes that I took down from what you said, but I just don't think it's the way to start out the first day of Paulding County Board of
This
Commissioners
is most
meetings.
certainly
And,
not the way to start out the first meeting. I'll agree with you on that.
any other,
You said you had some other notes. Were there other comments that you had relating to my?
I have them. I've been on the phone with President Dave Wills of the ACCG, Association of County Commissioners of Georgia, with a conference call with two attorneys in his office, downtown Atlanta, to talk about pluses and minuses and how you can set up legal departments. I have asked, I and the county administrator have been around to many constitutional officers and department heads to assess their thoughts and the value that they placed on Tally Richardson Cable and on Jason Phillips. So spent a lot of time and done some homework, maybe not put out advertisements. In the county, there are really no municipal governmental qualified attorneys that particularly come as a firm, and you save a lot of time by using a firm in many cases because you don't have to pick up the phone or you don't have to drive across town to establish contact with somebody. You can walk down the hall, and that educational piece, our attorney talk with the county attorney, and you can resolve a lot of things rapidly in that manner. These two have already mentioned the experience and the expertise, just like Ms. Skipper had, and I'm grateful for her contribution to legal services, and this needs to be heard. I have asked her, with Baker Street as my witness, to continue to help us as we transition, and as she does have the continuity and institutional knowledge of 2 or 3 specific cases, and actually she and we were going to have a meeting tomorrow morning, but she's got the flu. So I don't think it'll happen tomorrow morning, but in this handoff, in this professional pass down to Jason Phillips and that firm, we're going to take care of all those things.
So can I ask you why the change of heart and suddenly an unwillingness to let this be bid out? I know you said that you didn't think there were any attorneys that would in the county that could do it, but what's the real reason? I
actually got a text from Commissioner Collette that said, don't take it to Cobb County because that would be hypocritical. I don't think I still have the text, but then you look inside the county, as I just mentioned, their attorneys have their legal specialties, and
I get
it's very, very specialized, and you're not going to find
we may be able to solicit ideas for it can't be that far down the road that we're going to need to be looking at a potential in-house legal team. It could be just a few years before that's something that could be justified. We could be soliciting ideas. I respect Vernon Collette as much as anybody else I can think of right now, but maybe there's a lawyer over there that would make more sense. I mean, we don't know because you've decided not to ask. You've decided to just say, well, that was a good idea. This 8-page document that came from Frank's office, I think it came from Frank's office, this 8-page document, we're just going to toss it aside because we had a letter ready to send out, but we're not going to do it. It feels to me that it's worth getting the idea. Before you make a change on the legal team, you need to do that. Changing legal teams, if we were to change now and then reevaluate this and change again, we're going to incur a lot more expense because we're already going to be in the position where we're going to have to pay Lonnie to hand off caseload to TRC. Maybe she's willing to help with the transition, and goodness, if after the way that she's been treated the last several months, if she's willing to do that, she's even more amazing than I thought she was. But if she's willing to continue some of those, it would help. But there's caseload that she's going to have to offload, and we're going to be paying 2 attorneys that time. So if we change now and then end up looking at and changing it later, there's going to be paying for that transition again. So it makes sense to me if you want to change something out. Lonnie's done nothing that warrants termination, as far as the execution of her job, and she is. And she's fully capable to continue as in the interim role while we go through a bid process and put together I think I don't remember the details but you had thought through the information about who should be in the room and who should be part of the committee to do interviews and things like that. I think it's worth doing versus just handing the business back to TRC.
Are there any other comments? I do have some things on reduced cost, but
well, you did mention about lawyers going down the hallway to other lawyers. There will be costs there, and I think the cost savings there. I don't know that you're going to get $40 an hour, $45 an hour out of that.
There'll be reduced phone conversations. There'll be a better vetting of when a paralegal may be substituted for a full pass-the-bar attorney.
Okay, so,
There'll be times when legal action may not even be required by better vetting.
okay,
There'll
so,
be less or maybe zero, hopefully, conflict counsel, which has been extremely expensive.
so we can both agree, though we don't know for sure what they would be, that there could be some cost savings, and I can concede that point. I don't think you're going to get the $45 an hour, but that aside, what budget amendment do you have to prepare to spend the additional funds on legal counsel?
Well, I'm suggesting that there would be enough reduced cost where it would be.
You're going to
comparable.
offset in $80,000?
Yeah, maybe more.
Okay. Well, we are halfway through our budget year, and we need to watch that closely. Tabitha's not here, but when we get those reports, we need to be watching that closely, or we're going to run into a budget problem towards the end of our fiscal year. So we need to be careful with that.
Most definitely. Any other comments? You good? Okay, we've got a motion to appoint Tyler Richardson, Cable, PA, as the county attorney and to authorize the chairman to enter into a contract for such purposes. We have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. We'll take a vote at this time. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. New business number 2 is action to approve Chairman Carmichael's designation of Commissioner Brian Stover as Chairman Pro Tem.
I make a motion to table to June 11th.
We have a motion to table to June 11th. And is there a second? Hearing none, I will make the motion myself to designate Brian Stover as the Chairman Pro Tem to take care of administrative requirements. Well, I guess that would be under discussion, so I'm out of order. So I make the motion. Is there a second?
Dave, I'd like to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
So I
that's
need
correct.
to-
Dave's making, you're making a motion to, you're making the motion to approve. Is that right, Dave?
That's correct. I'm making the motion to approve. And looking for a second. Second by Commissioner Hart. Is there any discussion?
I just, again, Dave, I respect Brian, and he and I have had some good conversations before this meeting and then here today, and I expect those to continue. But no commissioner is ready for that designation on their first meeting in their first month of office. So that's why I requested the table to June, but I understand you want to move forward with this.
Okay, so we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose?
Nay?
And one abstention. So passes 3-1-1. At this time, I meant to do this before new business number 2, but I'm going to ask Jason Phillips if he would come up and join us on the panel.
Brian, can you open that door for him, please? Thank you, sir.
New business item number 3 is to approve Harold Linencold to the Paulding County Airport Authority with a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2022. Do I hear a motion?
Dave, I'll make the motion to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Caker. Is there any discussion?
Now, again, just to clarify, my change on this nomination from previous was about a conflict of interest that existed because of his work with the Michael Baker Group, and that is no longer a conflict. So that's the reason that I've changed on this.
Well, thank you for looking into it and giving him a call.
I did give him a call. Seems to be a nice guy.
It'd be a wonderful asset to that airport authority. All right, let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries 5-0. That's the conclusion of our regular business. We do have executive session for real estate and pending and potential litigation. Let's see, we have, just looking ahead here, no public participation on non-agenda items. And I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make the motion. We go to executive session for personnel, real estate, pending, and potential litigation.
It's my understanding it's just real estate and pending and potential litigation.
Mr. Chairman, I think there is a need for personnel.
Okay, I
I
stand.
make the motion for all of the above.
Okay, we have a motion for going into executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Stover, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned to executive session. Look at this, we beat 5 o'clock. This time I'll call the regular session back to order and report that no action was taken in executive session. And if anybody has a comment, I'll open it up for that. If not, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I guess I can go ahead and make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, got a motion to adjourn by Mr. Davis, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, and we're adjourned.